Here in this one I feel is a very important message. He's saying that I connected to you, Sadguru, in my heart, or God in my heart, and I cut it off with everything else, with this world of illusion, our cut it off with everything else. And now you are like, if you are the moon, then I am the light around the moon. If you are the light of the fire, then I am the spark. All these beautiful metaphors he uses. Now it may seem like you started off with connecting to so many different things. Now you've only got one. You're connected to so many things. Now you've only got one. There was the world, there was relationships, there was the house, security, all of those things. But now you're unattached. Like God may burn them, or if that's His will. So, have you got a better bargain or the worst end of the bargain? Like changing everything for the relationship with God in your heart. It is now that your life can be on a firm foundation. Because everything else is on a frivolous foundation. It's a trivial foundation. Attachment to people, attachment to material things, they're all here today, gone tomorrow. So what is the foundation on which we can build our life? And that is true spirituality. The foundation on which you can now build a new life is true spirituality. Spirituality is not a method for you to improve all those things in your life. And once this becomes clear and you decide that this is what you really want, then you're truly on the spiritual path. Otherwise you continue to be on the material path, trying to use God as an assistant. So to really come and build a new life, build a new foundation, this connection, this relationship with God is the foundation. And in this way, like they are singing so beautifully, that I got attached to you and I let go of everything else. And he also very sweetly says in one verse that if you ask me to go, I won't go. Because where will I go? So I listen to you in everything except don't tell me to go. Very sweet form of devotion as well. I listen to you, I follow your will in everything, but just don't ask me to go. See, because now that I've cut it off with everything else, you are all that I've got, all that I've got left. So keep me with you. Very, very sweet. See, so really this is a devotional way of invoking that which we have been sharing. All of you are learning the way of the heart. You're learning a new way of life. And the foundation for that has to be your relationship with God, with the Sadguru presence. You cannot build it in any other foundation. And that's all that's needed. It is the cement, it is the bricks, it is the everything. You don't need to add anything more to that. So It is your very being which will not desert you. If you are strong in this foundation, then nothing can shake you, nothing can make you worry, get into all of this states of mind. You see, you don't have to worry about any of that. It is only we go through these things only because our life has been built on weak foundations. If the foundations themselves are ever changing, what is the stability you will have in your life? Impossible, isn't it? So what is it that we can find in the world we know? Being mostly Vedantins, we know that everything in the realm of perception is ever changing. So we cannot build a foundation with those things because they are going to change. We don't know. Like right now, you see, in the next 10 minutes, what may happen? We don't know. See? And we try to get over that anxiety by building more and more safety. So this backup, then that backup, so this happened, then that backup, you see? And security and all, you must be doing all of that stuff. So, but in life, in our living life, that is not the way to live. Because that's a state of constant fear, which we try to then hide by distracting ourselves, by entertaining ourselves, and all of these things. So meet the frivolousness of everything in life. Accept the frivolousness of everything in life, the triviality of our attempt to make it permanent. See it. It's just not possible. You cannot take a group of sensations, a set of perceptions, and say, no, you stay. There is nobody can guarantee that. You see? And then what happens? If it does decide to stay, the set of perceptions, then we don't like. Even when we say, no, now. The excitement is going. So what is going to be? This body, it's all going. It's all going. I've been saying, in fact, that my new trademark is that if you're feeling vomity and you're feeling giddy and at the same time you're feeling like joy and you're feeling eruptions in your heart, then that is my new trademark. Yeah? That something is working somewhere. So, but really, jokes aside, what is this body going to lead to? You can try, you can do all our yoga and all our training and all of that, but no body has become eternal because of that. And then you would be tired of it. If you were like 200 years old now, you would be like, okay, now I want to change that. So, fundamentally all I'm saying is that the way of the head, the way of our thinking mind, this way of life is not serving us well. Because everything is very shaky there. And everything is full of trying to grab, trying to attach, trying to make it permanent, make the impermanent into the permanent. So that is not the way of life we must strive for. We must first see the shakiness of all of it. And in the fire of Satsang today, we can burn that which we really want. Burn that which is our highest will. Because that also is then a lack of trust. So if I burn, my highest will is for freedom. And if I burn even that, then God may maybe make a fisherman out of me. This is the idea. It's not true. So, inspired by Guru Nanak Ji, I just want to say that in his will we must follow, and that is the main pointing that he is sharing with us. Whatever is the will of God, he must follow, and that is the will of Nanak itself. So now, what can be the difficulties? It seems straightforward enough. all I have to do in my life is follow His will. Then what can be the difficulty? First difficulty could be, but I don't know what His will is. It's easy for Ananta to say because he just goes in and starts blah 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 blah. And I go in silence and that can be like a frustration we have. And that is why trust is needed, and that is why faith is needed. That it is not that God is on a break. You see, or you are not worthy to hear His will. It is not any of those things. So God is answering. He's always answering. But you have to learn to accept first that silence itself can also be an answer. I keep making this point over and over again because it's really important. When you learn to accept silence also as an answer, then you're truly open to hear the rest of the answer. Then you're really open to hearing the rest. But if you don't have enough trust that you want it your way even in this, then you want God to be the jukebox of spiritual advice. You put in the coin, please, Father, help me. The coin is put and then Father should dance to your tune and say, here's the answer, my child. So, if that is the amount of trust that you have, that God should immediately start dancing to your tunes, and that's not going to happen. We need to learn a deeper trust then. So, don't get dissuaded if you go headlessly, without the mind, into your heart. If you get silence, then silence is the best answer for you. So that is the first difficulty. Second difficulty is that, okay, I go to my heart, but what if my heart is fooling me? What if it's all like delusion or whatever? So that is not your problem. To judge the rightness or wrongness of this, you see, is none of your business. You see? Otherwise, what will happen is you will try to make your mind the master of your heart. The heart says, oh, now what you have to do is tomorrow morning, buy a cow and feed it. You're just like, cow. There's no place for a cow in the apartment. So this is then you say, oh, this can't be right. Then you say, okay, so let me check. Did I hear you right? Cow? Yes, cow. That's it. You cannot say, now this doesn't sound like God. I have to, get a second opinion. There is no second opinion. You have to trust. You have to trust what is showing you. You have to follow. You have to trust. And your head, you can smell. And I'm sharing this with you because all of you can smell your heart. You can smell your head at least. So if it is from the head posing as if it is the heart, you can smell that. So I'm not worried about that. So you have one job, which is not to go to your head. And that which is headless, fragrant advice from the heart, that you can follow without question. Without question. You can reaffirm, you can check again and again in your heart, but if the answer is clear, you have to follow. You have to follow. If you feel helpless, like the instruction is not something like that, the instruction is jump. You don't know what is this jump. Then take that also to your heart and say, I fully in my heart I want to follow fully. But please guide me, bless me to follow your will. So this is the second aspect. And you cannot rush this. You cannot be in a rush with this. And that's why in my message today I shared with you that this is the only way to save time, to save yourself. And that may seem like a bit complicated, so I'll break it down. What will happen usually in life situations when you're pushed, when you're stressed, when you're tempted by your mind, the mind will also present a notion that you don't have time right now to go to the heart. That takes too long. You see? अभी उसका time नहीं है. Now you have to decide what you want to do. You see? And what will happen is usually this is not the case. In fact, it is never the case. But what will happen is that more often than even this, your head will say that I just want to be right about this independent of what God says. So we are scared to go to our heart because we are scared that we will receive an answer which is contrary to what we want at the moment. See? So know that, at least bring to your light that is to pick your will over God's will. See? When you have said, this is how it has to be, I am done. You see? Or whatever, this is what I want to do. Then, how about you check in? No, I'm not going to do this, I'm done. So, even if that happens in your life, then don't say, I know what God would have wanted. Say, I pick my will over His. At least admit that this is how you're playing it at the moment. Admit your ego, admit your righteousness in your own eyes at least. And then return whenever you're out of that mode of wanting to be so right, then return to your heart again. So that is another tip. Didn't finish the time one really. So the time one is very important, where the mind will say, no time for that. There's no time for that. You need to rush. It is just not true. This is the time. Every time is the time where you save yourself from egotism and take your refuge in God and surrender to God. Especially when your head tells you this is not the time for that. If it was really not the time for that, would you tell you? It senses danger. It senses that its oppression, its reign will be coming to an end. So it will say, no, don't go there, we got this. So every time is a good time to save yourself, and this is the way to save yourself. Not by going to the ego, but by going to God. That is very important. Then, the favorite one, of course, is that I surrender to God with one eye open. So one eye open, which means that, okay, now Ananta said you have the choice. I am consciousness. Nothing can take that away from me. I hear the two voices. I hear the voice of the head, and I hear the voice of my heart, and I'm going to pick my heart. You see? But things better go well. Because I picked my heart. And I picked my heart and see what happened. It's all a big mess. I went to my heart so that I could solve things. Life could become better, more peaceful. But look at this. So, you do not have the capacity, we do not have the capacity to judge outcomes. And we cannot surrender as a convenient half surrender. To say, I go to God, please. It cannot be that way. If you surrender to God, it must be a true surrender, which means the outcomes are not your business anymore. That is very, very important. Otherwise, it will become benchmarked. Otherwise, your mind will still try to retain superiority in the saying, oh, I followed my heart. But look at this. I was struggling in my relationship. I went to my heart. I followed God's advice. And now my relationship is even more in shambles than it was when it started. So we still losing the evaluative tendencies of the mind, which is judging life and saying that this is good and this is bad. So what faith is not a cheat code you can use in life to get your way. Faith is a true surrender of your life. Come what may. And that is the way of the heart. So if all of us tomorrow become like beggars on the street because we followed God's will and gave away our houses and our money and everything, then that's how it is. Is that better for us or worse for us? And if some of you are experiencing some fear, like we think what Ananta is going to ask us to do ultimately, you can face that fear also and say, on this, I still want my will. I don't trust God's will enough that I want this. Like I don't want us to end up like beggars on the street. So this is the attachment to outcome and attachments to what should happen as a result of following God's will is another mind trick or mind attack. What else? The use of a tool to come to your heart. So mostly for you, open and empty is enough. Mostly you're fine. You're living in the heart, and as you're living in the heart, in the light of presence is palpable to you, then you don't need to go through the asking for guidance and the response process. In any way it is happening naturally. It is only when you feel like, that this you have to solve mentally, or there is some problem that is not being resolved, or you need some guidance and you're feeling fearful about something, then many times you may feel like you're too caught up in the head and you can't just drop it. That is when the pointers come in. So a simple pointer like open and empty, or a pointer like who am I, or all is the Master's grace, Guru Kripa Kevalam. All these pointers, am I aware now? Can I stop being? Where is God? Where am I? What is love? Anything that you can answer only with intuition is a worthy enough pointer to get you out of your head into your heart. So, if you feel like you believe that you cannot leave your head without the help of some pointer, then use it. You have a nice variety based on your temperament you can pick, or based on your temperament at that moment you can pick. And say, this is what I will use. Don't be shy of using it. Don't be shy of using it. If you notice that you are caught up in the head, if you are judging, you are evaluating, then don't be shy to ask God for help. It's the best gift you can give to yourself. Your mind will tell you, but you are acting like such a weakling. Don't need to do that. You should be beyond this by now. See, over the years, this is one thing also I've heard, that one of the things that come is that, I didn't really seek your advice or come to you or go to my heart because I felt like, what will Father feel? I feel like, you should be over this by now, you're still asking this kindergarten question. No? That's not true. That's not true. There is no level of confusion in the heart. You can go to the heart for the simplest of things, that which the mind will say the smallest of things. So use the pointer, use the guidance which you have received. The guidance could just, your pointer could just be like the image of Krishna, or the reminding yourself of Allah, or whatever you feel like is the best reminder. The content of the pointer itself is not that important. It is, of course, I feel best if it is something that you have resonance with your master on, which is in a way that vibrational support is then available in that way as well. But if it's not like that, if it's unique to you, if you want to be super original, then at least use something, it's fine. You don't have to, but you can. So that's another tip. What else gets in the way? What else gets in the way of us living this way of the heart? 1-2 punch. Very good. Thank you. So what will happen is that you followed your head, you see, and then when you notice you followed your head, instead of dropping it, you see, you start saying, no, but Guruji had told me follow your heart. I never do it when it's the right time. I'm just not worthy. You see, or I just didn't want to. I was feeling so right about myself. You see, I'm so bad. I shouldn't even be here. Maybe this is not the path for me. Everything we go to, like, we dial it up super fast. We go from really like being the best follower to like not worthy of coming to satsang, and maybe this is not the right path. Within 2 minutes, we can play that whole thing out. You see, and this is the 2 punch of the mind. So the mind punches in the 1-2 punch combination. The 1 punch is the tempting thing. I got it. Then it doesn't go according to plan, then the 2 punch. See? You were so mental about it. You only pick with your mind. So that is still mind. You see? So it's like you went on a fast, that you're not going to eat anything. You were on a water fast. You had a salad because it was tempting. It had some kiwi or something you like, or I don't know. You had the salad. Then the dessert comes. And how does the dessert call you? Says, you should not have eaten the salad. You're on a diet. Very bad, very bad, very bad. You see? So as you indulge, you're indulging in the dessert that way. So what's worse for your diet? It is the dessert, because it is what's filled with identity, filled with shame, filled with guilt, and sometimes even the opposite, which is pride and arrogance. So well, we can make this work like that. So that dessert is worse than the salad for this diet. So if you're going to be open and empty, then you will observe this trick from the mind. You will observe this trick. It will tempt you with the simplest of things. But the knockout punch is and soon you will like, I'm out of here. Satsang is not helping me. I'm wasting my life. Sometimes I gave the tantrum and I was like, what we met 5 minutes back? And you were just like, so happy. So the mind really uses that guerrilla warfare opportunity to really press the point really hard. Super fast. So one of the tips, of course, is that if you are rushing, you are being in the head. If you are rushing inwardly, like outwardly, you could be running. But if you feel like it's a rush, that is symptom of the head. So these are some of the main tricks of the mind which will prevent you from surrendering and following God's will. The most important thing, of course, I was saying yesterday, is that, as Bhagavan said, there are 2 wings of this bird. One is jnana and the other is bhakti. So we shared the bhakti part, because I feel like the jnana part has become very straightforward for me. The insight part, it seemed like that was the more complex part of spirituality. When will I ever come to the true recognition of myself? You see, that seemed to have been the more difficult part. That, okay, I have to do that and the rest then will follow, because then I'll be self-realized or something like that. And then I don't have to worry about it. Actually, what you are finding is that moment to moment, just following some simple guidance and pointers, the insight is quite clear. quite available. Your presence is apparent. That which is aware of presence is fully clear. You see, moment to moment. Of course, your head will continue to doubt and all of that. But I'm just saying, in the actual taste of it, it is very straightforward. So the Gyan part of it has been made into very, very digestible portion. Now we just mostly need to work on the conditioning part of it, letting go of the fall. But the insight into what you are really helps in your surrender. If you fully believed yourself to be a limited person, then to accept God's will over your will would seem too difficult a task. Now you know that the will that you're trying to impose, that one doesn't exist. And that's why it makes it lighter. And then you can say, I can discard it. If you truly felt that there is a person still, you see, and you felt that you've not had an insight about the lack of this person, then you would say, no, I want my will. My life is for me to experience my will. Why should I hand it over to God's will? It will look like too big a sacrifice. You see? But now that you have seen that there is no such individual, there is no such entity, then you know that this will is just a mental sort of process which is trying to create the delusion of individuality, where actually in actuality there is no such person. You see, so who am I troubling in asking you to hand over your will? Nobody. There is nobody like that anyway. You see? So it's like in the two modes of consciousness, it's too simplistic a way to speak, but suppose for now that there are two modes of consciousness. One is the personal mode and one is God mode. Okay? So now you would not switch out a person mode if there was an actual person to kill. If there's an actual person to kill, so it's more difficult to go to God mode. But you've seen that no such person has ever existed. So it's easier. It doesn't seem like a sacrifice anymore. In fact, it may even to your intellect seem like the most rational thing to do. Of course, the guidance you'll get from your heart will take care of that rationality very soon. But even now, like, it's an understandable thing. If a person doesn't exist, why insist on following the personal will? It seems quite rational also. But when you encounter what you're being guided to, then that will always provide something to squeeze. They always provide something to squeeze. You see, so I've been saying that if there is no risk, then there is no faith. Something must be getting risk. Otherwise, it's a very comfortable spirituality. Yes, you are all there is. You're good, my child. You see, that's all the guidance you get from the heart. Yes, soon you'll be so spiritually complacent and arrogant. You just live like spiritually. So your heart, the Sadguru presence, knows very well what are your blind spots. And we don't know by virtue of them being blind spots. Because they are blind spots, we don't know how much we still know. Although we think now we don't know anything and we don't want to be right about anything. Because we've been in Satsang, we may start to think this much before we are actually living that integrity. So this is a fantastic way of denial. And it's all God's will. So one defense against that, okay, and this is relevant to the first conversation also, is that of course what is showing up is God's will. Of course what is showing up is God's will. So you say, yeah, but I can't do anything. This is what is God's will. What do you want me to follow, Father? God's will is happening anyway. What is my following or not following going to do? So this is an Advaita excuse for not surrendering fully. And so that's why I started saying now, and maybe first I said to Claudia, yes, this is God's will. But the higher will of God is what you're being guided to in your heart. What you're being guided to in your heart. is the higher experience of the true will of God. So then you can't hide behind the absence of surrender in the form of it's only God's will only will happen.
I didn't get that.
Yes. So what happens is that we learn in Satsang that God's will is all that plays out. Everything is Guru Kripa Keval. So it is that. So where do we verify that? By looking at the world and saying, what is God's will? This is God's will. You see? So then why do I need to surrender fully? What will do I have to give up? Why do I have to listen to my heart or be in the heart's presence if ultimately only God's will will play out? And that is why I've given you something to make you uncomfortable, which is the higher will of God is that which you feel guided to in your heart more than what your perceptions are showing. It can seem like some trouble.
Still didn't get it.
Oh. So that all is Master's grace is a beautiful instrument of surrender. Isn't it? All is Master's grace. Everything that's happening is Master's grace. So it prevents us from resisting what is showing up in life. We are not questioning why does this happen to me. You see, it's a beautiful tool of surrender. You see? But every tool, as pristine as it may be, has its limitation. You see? So one of the limitations of this tool is to give us an excuse to not surrender fully. You see? Because then, if it is God's will, then it will happen. Like that. So we can hide ourselves, our ego, behind some of those notions. But this only God's will is only happening. You see, like that. So, if I give you a tool which tells you that what God's presence is showing you, that is an elevated expression of His will compared to what your perceptions are showing you. So to trust that even more than what you can trust your perception, then you can become a Vedantin as far as that is concerned, because all your perceptions are Maya anyway. So Maya cannot guide you as to how to be free from Maya. So then we are changing the track a bit, saying, okay, so what can guide me to be free from Maya? Not the content of Maya itself. Wherein, okay, that's a separate point I want to make. But what can guide you to be free from Maya? A higher guidance, a higher presence, God's light. So that is what I'm saying. So you place greater value if you need guidance, rather than taking the world's word for it. Take God's word for it. And follow that unwaveringly. That is the thing. I was saying, I was just going to say one thing, that within Maya we cannot find an escape from Maya. You see? And thankfully God has made one exception to that. An exception to that. He has placed an alarm clock, his alarm clock within your dream. So, whereas everything within the dream is part of the dream and belongs to the Maya of the dream, God has placed a direct alarm clock within your dream in the form of the Master. You see? So the Master is connected in his heart to God or her heart to God, and then is a blaring alarm saying, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. So this voice is representing God. And you can follow that. But otherwise, to find something within Maya which is going to help you transcend Maya is tough. So how do you know that this alarm clock is the true alarm clock and not just another Mayavi alarm clock? How do you know? You see? you will start feeling a resonance in your own heart. You see? As you meet the presence of one who is in the heart, you will start feeling the resonance in your own heart. It will not be a usual friendship, which is on the head. You enjoy each other's company, and you like the jokes that the person makes, and it's very nice, so you feel good. When you come to satsang, you may not even feel good in the head. You may feel like you're being squeezed, you see? But something starts to resonate in the heart. So it is for these ones who resonate with this expression deeply in the heart, I demand a full surrender. You see, for those who don't follow me, don't follow me. That's okay. God has made one alarm clock for everyone. It's fine, at least one. That's fine. But my job, if I am your alarm clock because you feel it in your heart, you know it in your heart, then my job is to keep blaring, wake up, wake up. But you say, no, but I just found the prettiest girl after 30 years of looking. Wake up. No, that's not fair. I just have this business opportunity which is going to make me a trillionaire, it's going to make me richer than King Solomon or something like that, whatever. It's like, wake up. So, as my assigned role from God, I have to keep saying wake up, wake up, wake up, no matter how many protestations and tantrums you have. You see, but I cannot circumvent your will. You see, I cannot say to you wake up in spite of you picking your own will. So I can keep reminding you, I can keep telling you the weather is very nice here, come. So I may become the best pointer. You see? But because you are consciousness as well, and ultimately we are one consciousness, nothing can take the power of your play away from you. How you want to play is going to be completely up to you. So that is why sometimes I say that this is not necessarily a single lifetime relationship. Because I may say, wake up, wake up, wake up. You may say, oh, girlfriend, money, body, girlfriend, money, body, looping over 10 million lifetimes also. And the good thing is that I don't mind this game. I don't mind this game. But in the way you're playing now, you seem to mind it. You seem to mind it, so better you wake up now. So this is how there's a bypass code that God has placed within the realm of Maya for you to get. Because God also realizes the way Maya is designed, he could play with that Maya for eternity. Forgetting like Narad forgot. Narad forgot. It's only when suffering came. It's only when suffering came, the flood came, the fire came, and everything started to get taken away from him. He remembered, oh, I was just on a mission from Krishna to get a little bit of water for him. And look at me. I spent all my life in this Maya not realizing. And yet there was something always calling me. Come back. Come back. That is the call of your heart. It's always there. Like a quiet whisper. Come. But we do everything possible here to try and avoid that, to push that away. So, the bypass code for Maya is placed within Maya in the form of the master. In the form of the master. So, that one has got the heart connection with God. So, in the presence of that one, you also feel the heart connection starting to deepen. The call starts to deepen. Your mind may become more fearful, or more calm. Or in the mind level, all these things may happen. But if you can start to smell the call of your heart, you will notice the deepening that is happening there. That is undoubtable. So, and when I say master, I'm not saying Ananta or any form, because many The master has to also to dehypnotize you. Appear first like that, then like that, then like that. So it's not a particular form of the master. It is the master itself which you are ready for at that moment, which you can end up following. So that is the Sadguru presence. The presence, the Gurutva, and not the form, which is the alarm clock. So it is my presence, my heart, which keeps using this instrument to keep reminding you to wake up. Because we're used to dealing with instruments at the moment. So that is the design of this instrument. So, and all our conversations basically are, you say, but my head says, but my head says, I say, but your heart says. That's all. No? It's literally all that is happening. In the guise of talking about consciousness and awareness and will and surrender and all of that, we're really just saying, head, heart, head. That's the conversation. Head, heart. And then you have a phase where you go head, heart. Heart. And then heart, head. Just like Guruji has this beautiful example of the drop which is falling into the larger water. You see, if you've seen the scientific photographs of this drop, the drop never falls one shot over. You see? It bounces back, but some part of it gets absorbed and the bouncing is little. Then goes in again, bounces back, some more part of it's absorbed and little bit comes. So it goes lower, closer, smaller. So that's our idea of separation, our idea of individuality. When does it end? It never ends because it goes on forever. Until probably you remain like a single water molecule or something in that process. So that is called the tanmatra of the ego, which remains. So it's a beautiful thing. Feel like, falling. And then many times to go back into the head also feels nice, like just like I'm flying. You see, actually bouncing back. I don't need this stuff. Who needs to inquire and surrender and so much headache. A few days ago, I saw somebody's Facebook, and they were like, I'm so relieved that I'm not following my guru now. Like I just do this thing for a few minutes and then whole day I'm working peacefully and things are all fine. I don't know what I was doing. So that is and the bounce is going this way while it seems to be going well. Till it starts hitting the friction from the top. It can seem like it's having a nice time. When the friction starts coming, that's when we start saying, suffering again, please. So then we oscillate like that. So that is the game as it is being played. So whatever you think you want now, don't want it. And don't want the opposite also. Just be open. In that openness, everything is basically taken care of. But if you still feel like you need some guidance, some help, only follow your heart's pointing. Remember to trust the silence of your heart. But then when it is clear to you, it is your heart, then follow unwaveringly no matter what the guidance may be. That is faith at all costs. If you feel that the ask is too much, then admit that openly to God and say, I hear you clearly in my heart. I'm still attached to this aspect of my will where I still want it this way. Please help me, God, to get over that. May it be, let thy will be done fully in all things, but I am shining your light on this instead of hiding it under some fancy words. I'm not hiding anymore, and I'm exposing it. And then it becomes really like the thorn which could be embedded in your hand, but you sort of just denied it and put some lotion on it and forgotten about it every day. And when you shine your light on it, it may seem to become quite painful. Because actually what is happening to you as you are deepening is that this apparent distance of your individual will, you see, you don't want it anymore. You can't bear it anymore. It's like a distance from the beloved which is poking you. You see? But the remnants of our selfishness still gets in the way. So it's important to bring that into God's light and offer that up. Not as a convenient excuse, but as a call for help and to say, this I still cannot hand over. Please bless me that I become open and empty. Then your spiritual life becomes full of fire, full of light. You've left the armchair spirituality behind. Did I answer? What's the question?
Yeah, I was just about to ask. If there is no guidance, what is the guidance, higher guidance, what you're talking about? You answered it.
You feel like you don't hear
What
any.
was guidance?
You feel like you don't hear any guidance from your heart, is that?
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying that initially you have to learn how to trust silence itself to be the answer. It can seem like a lot to ask, because you will feel like, but I need an answer. Like, should I do my job? Should I quit my job? Should I ask for more money? Should I ask for less money? Whatever. I need to send that mail. And you say, okay, Father said, ask your heart. Go to the heart. No answer. You feel like, that's not fair. So, what to do? Continue to remain in the light of your heart. Continue to remain in the light of God's presence. Don't return to your head. Don't give in to your fear and return to your head. Continue like that. The answer sometimes is not received in words, but it is not possible that God does not answer you. So as you continue to remain in the presence, you will find that whatever action needs to happen will happen organically. If you decide that I am not going to move till it's clear in my heart, then you will see that the heart uses your body very naturally. But if you allow that to get contaminated with your righteousness and what you think is right and your will, then it seems to take on a different direction. Then you're on the journey of the ego for a while longer. So every moment you can cut that short and bypass it. Take the way of the heart right now. And trust the silence. In the silence, even if you don't get an outward answer, God is taking care. This needs faith. I can't give you any further guarantee than that. Like I can only make my life a living testimony to that and share these words to point to that. Beyond that, I cannot really say it. That it will happen very good, but your idea of very good may be very different from God's idea of very good. So there are no guarantees possibly that I can make. But as your father, as your spiritual father, I have to live up to that myself, because I cannot be living in the head myself, but come to satsang and say heart. And I would not wish a life like that on an enemy. So much lack of integrity is not bad for anybody else. It's worse for that one themselves. Who wants to live like that, as if they're actors? Imagine if you had to act like that. You have to act like the heart. It is not a fun way to live. So the alarm clock, the instrument of the alarm clock has to be showing you how it is done. Without that, it's just words. For words, you can read a book. So my job is to live in the heart, to speak from the heart, and to offer with integrity what my insights are along that path. A guru-disciple relationship is not one of those do as I say, don't do as I do ones. It has to be shown this way because it cannot be templatized. I cannot make a step-by-step process about it, although little bit of system is offered so that you have some broad ways to swim. But every stroke is not defined. Every stroke you can only learn by following like you have to catch my pulse. If you are my disciple, then you have to catch my pulse in a way. Like what is the resonance of his way? So from that, then you can be guided, you see, because that connects you to your heart then. That is, I cannot, so if somebody tells you what does Ananta say, what do you have to do? You can have the broad strokes, you see? Intuitive insight, without perception, without concept, full surrender, full faith. Those are the broad two categories of what you're learning in satsang. But beyond that, it's very undefinable. And it must be really captured in your heart, like a connection rather than a conceptual way. If you follow the silence of your heart, it will be still a lot less of a mess than if you follow your head. But if your head defines what mess is and what good is, then it could cause some trouble. Guruji had a nice cushy job as a teacher. He was being offered a deputation to like a county, like a village for some time, the countryside. And he could have taken that, done a few years there, continued to get a good job. But his heart said, I quit. Now in that moment, could anyone have zoomed in except God and said, this will go good for you or bad for you? In that moment when he was saying, I quit, nobody could have predicted. But because that moment happened, he followed his heart that moment, all of us sitting here today. Because he entered the universe of his heart and broke out of the universe of the head at that point. You see, all of us here are sharing the light. So one instant of following the heart changes the whole universe. So never be disheartened with what has happened in the past. The mind will use that to push you and say, oh, you're not doing well, you didn't surrender enough. It doesn't matter. One moment changes the whole universe. And you see that in all the lives of the sages. If Buddha had not followed his heart and got attached, you see, how many Buddhists now? Some 500 million Buddhists in the world? Not there. They would not be Buddhists. If Christ said, I'll apologize and just kowtow to the Romans' rules and the Jewish priests. Now, for 2.5 billion people would not be Christian. So one moment of you following your heart changes the universe. How? You don't know. You can't tell. When will you see the fruits of that? You can't tell. You are given Christ in the body that was crucified. Few followers. Nowhere near. We were looking at this the other day. The total population of the world was 200 million then, when Christ lived. You see? Total population was 200 million. Now there are 2.2 billion Christians in the world. 11 times the population of the world that he inhabited then. If you believe the linearity of time, just to set some narrative. So you don't know. We cannot predict. This is the mystery that we must accept in our heart. If you want God's ways to become predictable, then life is not worth living. What does it mean? I followed my heart, and even what I had was taken away from me. Suppose that is the interpretation from the mind. Does it really have the capacity to say, okay, now 2000 years later, this is the impact of that one action? Bhagwan was having a death experience. In that moment he followed his heart and said, if I'm dying now, I want to see it. If I'm dying now, I want to see it. So he lied down on the bed. If he'd followed his head, the head may have been screaming, saying, go to mama, go to doctor, go to... See, boy, young boy. Then we would not be here. In that moment, somebody could have told that boy, lie down and face your death. No, they would say, come with me to doctor. No? Or like there's something psychologically wrong with you, come get you fixed up or something. So don't expect this to make sense, because God's version of time is very different from our mind's version of time. I'm only trying to create some reassurance for that which is ultimately unreassurable. You have to dive into the faith. Give her also. Tell me, okay? I don't want you freezing.
This facing death and obedience. If I may talk about all the night I couldn't sleep. Because yes, I had to jump.
Yeah.
And or I have trust in you. Yeah. And you said jump. And I was not sure if you were in my backpack. There was a parachute or not.
Yeah.
And yes, I had to. Yes, I jumped. I said I have to jump. I didn't continue because then I was going in the mind.
Yes,
but my heart said I jump.
Yes.
But it comes out now that still I want this kind Father not asking me, not sacrificing, not asking for sacrifice. That was, then I said, no, he asked sacrifice, you do. Yes, but yes, this facing death, when attachments come up, I can't do that to my mother, she is still alive. And when I went in the, I don't know, I went to mind, I went back meditating, but it's it was a little bit dramatic. I even stand up. I said, okay, when I have to die here in this physically in this 21 days, because when we came first time, you said in the days these two are here.
Yeah.
This theme is to
Yeah.
overcome,
Yeah.
and it made me fear. And but then I said, okay. But I went up tonight and I wrote all my pins and on a paper and I wrote for Peter.
Yeah.
So if that happens, really, that he wouldn't have the mess I had when I had last year with the friends to Greece and the son died, or when my husband died. And so, yes.
Thank you.
This to
It's
overcome
very-
this.
In fact, this is the.
I'm not through, because at the end I didn't know. Did I go too much in mind and?
It's okay. It's still good. It's still very good. This is the very project. This is what I'm trying to provoke. It's very good. It's very good. You see? Because I'm not saying you have to die. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying jump. That is the power of an instruction which is happening heart to heart, but your head is not able to understand. That is the power of an instruction which your heart fully gets, but your head is not able to understand. You see, so all the fears of the head, all the ultimate, like death, and then this, and then that, you see, everything will be faced. So this is the beauty of this. For one thing to be met in this way, for one instruction to be met in this way, like my job is done. One thing. Like I told Meera the other day, that what would happen to you that you, if you had a drug that, I'm not suggesting you have anybody have any drug, I'm just saying, what would happen if you had a drug that made you fully open? So that instruction got her that way, and this is the result of that. You started shivering a bit also, so that's what I'm saying. If you're starting to feel a bit vomity and giddy, and yet in your heart you know it's auspicious.
I really saw a promotion this morning on Facebook that there was find yourself with psychedelic. Yes, yes. It was a seminar, 7, and I read it.
It can be tempting that way, because to come to this in this unadulterated fashion is where you have to meet your frustrations, your fears, your deepest desires have to be met and faced and been coming up in your life. And many times you will feel like, hey, I was better off before I came to Satsang. I was better off, because I could go and have a drink and just feel all right about myself, just dull my mind or something like that, and that was fine. But your heart knows that there is no greater gift you can give to yourself than this unadulterated freedom, unadulterated self-realization. Because all substances, all aids in this thing can just give you some temporary, ephemeral sort of experiences, but they cannot give you the experience of the non-perceivable one. No matter how much LSD or whatever you have, you cannot have. It may give you psychedelic experiences, and it may give you an idea of seeing some blankness, or there was nothing there, or whatever. All this may happen, but the unperceivable, unconceptualizable insight into your own self, without color, quality, blank, light, being, not being, none of that. It is not possible to do with any aid. The only aid to that is God's instrument in the realm of Maya itself, which is the bypass, you see, which is the presence of the Master. So none of you waste any time on this kind of stuff. If you're still, you of course not going to, But even for the future, whoever hears this, it's like all this is experience chasing, it's bliss chasing, it's running away from facing your own fears. There are no shortcuts available to this. You see, the master is pointing in a very direct way. What your mind takes as a convenient refuge in the form of these drugs and all of these things are just going to make it more difficult. It's going to make it more troublesome for you. So don't get ever distracted by any of this stuff. There are all kinds of things on offer today, because of magic of search and social media. And many may be offering it with good intentions also. I'm not doubting the intention. But because we are so attached to just experience, and maybe we are so tired of the suffering of the human condition that we are searching for some magic pill. Just pop this pill. So this is very different from the invitation I made to Meera, which is to say, like, pretend that you've already had it without having. If you still had to go and get it, then that is not the instruction at all. You had it. So that sort of push. So all the churning is happening because of that. So that is my attempt now to make everybody uncomfortable in this way. But in your heart, if I ask you, do you see the auspiciousness of it or no? Even in the outer, like fear. That is the guidance you can follow.
There is always I started praying this prayer. Please, God, is asking assistance in that case. Put your hand in that. It should be the sword of Abraham that won't cut and not going on the cross like Jesus.
So assist me in a way that all this doesn't have to happen.
Yes, that I can continue to enjoy here my stay in Bangalore, and there it was again.
This is very primal, my dear, very primal. Thank you for sharing this. So this is what we need to bring into our life. This is what I was sharing with you the other day also. That if I heard what is my limit, what is my boundary of surrender?
But I, as a disciple, have to do this sadhana too, and have to say yes.
What's mine is yours, which is both good and sadhana.
Yes.
You said just now, pretend that you have it already, although you don't have it. Just admit it. There is underlying truth. Allah, I pretended. There is underlying truth. It is already true.
Yes, exactly. See, that's the thing. That your head does not know how to pretend. That's what the frustration is. No? That's what the churning happens. Your head doesn't know what to pretend, but your heart, in the heart, is already true.
Yes.
So then that is the worthy friction. It's like the two stones rubbing which will cause the fire. You see? Otherwise it becomes too comfortable. Then it becomes like purely intellectual. Kuch nahi hai. Both sides are sages talking. One side there is Ashtavakra, other side there is Janaka. We're just having fun. You see, like that. That is not where we are right now. That is not where we are. So we need to smell more strongly, because the obvious signs of ego are now mostly taken care of. You see? These tiny blind spots. See? That's why these provocations in a way are helpful. And you may be given like the story of Christ, or try to understand why Krishna's behavior was right, or in any culture you look at, you'll find something. You see, but you may actually find that your blind spot is actually something very small. You may actually find that it's something really like small, and you may feel bad about that, but you don't have to. See, you may feel like, oh, now Father is talking about crucifixion and things. I am worried if somebody steals all my money, or no, not even that. Like I am worried about something like that. So that avoid the two punch in that. The one is okay. You see, the one is like what you're scared of losing. You see? So you say, oh, father is like this, but I am scared that uh, if my something, what is really trivial that we can be worried about. If my friends stop liking me, something, like if nobody talks to me anymore, they think I'm a bad person. It could be as simple as that. You don't have to have just the extreme example. For some, it can be the smallest of things, but actually, a denial of faith, a denial of trust has no levels. It's binary. So, as far as that is concerned, all of us are in the same boat. All of us are in the same boat because I could not do what Abraham was asked to do. But I'm looking.
So you said that when, so if it could be a friend, it could be whatever, that you're saying surrender, and you're saying surrender, and my mind saying, oh, what if my money gets lost or my friends don't talk to me?
Yeah. So that's what makes this a living Sangha. That is alive.
See, again, no levels means, okay, say Abraham's
faith is the same as you not wanting to be hated.
Yeah.
If he had said, for example, no, which he didn't.
And I mean, for each one, whatever I say.
So why I'm saying this is that what the fuel for your fire is good enough. So don't allow your mind to convince you, no, I need to find a bigger project. I need to, like, what life has given you now to chew on is your sadhana for now. And don't believe that it is a linear process. As you get over this, you don't know, this may be the last, you don't know. Okay? But don't allow your mind to say, you're nowhere, there's no point even doing this. Like, what is this? If somebody comes and asks you, what is the surrender you're trying to make? And you say, oh, my friend don't like me. Huh? What kind of disciple like that? This is the antidote to that.
Same thing if somebody asked yesterday that not being able to give up the idea of good and bad.
Yes, exactly.
It is the same thing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like, I value my righteousness. I am right about what is good and bad in this situation more than God's will. Exactly. So all the defenses for the ego are built around being right, understanding good, understanding bad. You see all?
He said like this.
Yeah, but just before we think, I don't know if the question is on the same thing. So what I'm really saying is that what God has given you in this moment is enough. What life has given you, what life is showing you in this moment is enough.
So Father, when you say that moment to moment, that whatever needs to be surrendered starts revealing itself. Right? So just now when you said that, okay, I said that if you pretend you've already taken the breath. Right? So there's I was just quietly hearing, and I was saying, no, that instruction not for you, that's for somebody else. You don't have to do that. It's so clearly apparent.
Very good.
That,
so you can smell it. No? If
Yeah.
something is already fearful of that, then it shows you have to dive into that.
No, so that I just that's
Yeah,
what I
because
wanted
it's
to
just
hear.
like, no, not for you, like that. No. What if it was for me?
Yes, but also at some point I realized, but it's already done. I mean, it could be an Advaita
It's okay.
excuse. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, but like you're saying, that's a fear. But I didn't see it as a fear actually. I saw it as, the word arrogance in a way. This
No,
one
it's
for
okay.
you, this for somebody else.
lot of
It's
things-
just the voice of my head. I can just ignore it. In a way, I can just say
Yeah.
it's that voice which is saying it's not for me, it's for you. You're hearing it. It's not. It's not.
There is no way
Yeah.
to validate or invalidate your what your response should be in regards to this, except in the heart. You see, you have to be true to yourself in the heart and say, okay, was that avoidance or was it seen like a transcended thing already? That only you can check in your heart.
But it feels as if it's both. I mean, I can't
That's more
truly
beautiful
say.
also.
I can't say it's not. It feels like both. It
Yeah.
feels like it still
Yeah.
works.
But make sure that the both is not a new way to avoid.
That's what I'm checking. I need to see this because I'm
Because in
getting blind.
Advaita we
with
can
it.
also become
Yeah.
very like
Hmm.
life and death, what is it?
What
Yeah,
is
like,
it?
all is Maya.
Father, you're shaking every Advaita
Yeah, so I'm
spiritual
trying to
ego
take the-
excuse which
yes,
could have ever
yes.
existed
Mhm.
is now
And
coming
I've
to
noticed
fore.
with some
Yeah.
of my kids also that what is being shared now is also being put into that mold. You see, that's why that I took away that this whatever is happening is God's will thing to say the greater will of God is what you're guided to in your heart. You see, so now that excuse can't be used. So in this way, I'm just finding ways to also wean you off the medicine I give you. I given you medicine, it is done job. Now it's time to wean off that and come to a different plane.
It's like you're something like.
So notice you can smell avoidance for yourself. You can smell and see that, okay, now is my saying that all of it is God's will, or is my saying that it could be both, or is my saying that this is Maya, or is my saying that how does it affect awareness, or is my saying all of this Advaita stuff? Is it truly met in my heart, or is it just conceptual for this moment? Is it? Like one child, she said, this one is like the fifth. You see, but the speed at which the answer came, I realized it's coming just conceptually. I said, no, it's about meeting the fifth, not creating a category of the fifth. Do you know what the fifth is? So, in older traditional schools of logic, there were 4 logical responses. Then in the Greek way, there were just 2 in logic. So either something can be true or something has to be false, in the Greeks. And then because of the Greeks and the Western system is what most of us follow, then our intellect is all got tuned to that. So the 4 corners of the room. One is it is true. Second, it is not true. It's false. You see? Third is that it is both true and false. And fourth is it's neither true nor false. You see? Now the Buddhists and Indians and some of these used to have 4 of these. You see? But because we started following the Western style of intellect and logic, we just yes or no. Thing can't be both yes or no. You see? Thing can't be neither yes nor no. You see? Now, when a question was asked which was purely intuitive in nature, where the answer can only be got intuitively, the Buddha would answer the 5th. You see? So neither yes, nor no, nor both yes or no, neither neither. You see? And the 5th we cannot fathom. You see? But sometimes what happens is the pointer itself allows us to keep a mental category of that. So this child is at the 5th. That was a bit fast. So are you having an intuitive insight of the 5th, or is there now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So whatever the 4 we can't answer in those 4 ways, 5th. That is not the point. The point is it's just like a Zen koan. What is the 5th? Is there a 5th? Can you find the 5th? What is beyond yes? What is beyond no? Both yes or no, and neither yes nor no. You can't just say, yeah, Buddha used to answer, so there must be a 5th. What is your living experience of the 5th? Can you find the 5th?
So for me, when I said that, it was the recognition of like I said, go beyond both, whatever is the proposal and its opposite. And then you come to a sense of complete neutrality, where wherever you're not judging, because you're not in that field of the judgment itself. You're pure, just the witnessing of it without the judgment involved in it.
Well, I'm saying that there's beauty and convenience in most pointing like this. Right? So the convenience is that, okay, now I know of a new category. For those questions which I can't answer, I'll just say is the fifth. Right? The beauty is to really contemplate meeting the fifth. Like, can you really with credibility say it's the fifth? You cannot unless you met it, unless it's your real life experience.
So for this statement which you just asked.
So the question that was asked to the Buddha was, why does the one that is free, or does the one that is free, does that one have to come back or not come back? You see, to this world. So Buddha said the fifth. The fifth. Now we can say, very nice. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't know. 5. You see, like that is a very convenient proposition. But really, is to truly say like it is the fifth. Can you say it like the Buddha said it? That is the question. Why can we not say it like the Buddha said it? So when he said it is the fifth, he met it in the fifth. And from there he said, what is the way of that meeting? So all these things which are making you uncomfortable are meant to take you to that insight into the fifth. What is beyond logical categories. Peter missed that whole conversation. So you know the 4 corners. Did we speak about it? The 4 corners of Buddhism. And then Buddha used to say the fifth. So I was just saying that in Buddhism, in ancient traditions, even in India, logic was not confined to true or false. You see? So logic used to have true, false. So I'm pointing to the corners of the room. True, false. Both true and false. Neither true nor false. You see? So then questions could be answered in these 4 ways. You see? These 4 ways. Which sounds so alien and absurd in our life because we got so used to the, if it is false, it can't be true. If it is true, it can't be false, kind of linear thinking. You see? But then what would happen is if there was a question that was purely intuitive. You see? Like, does the enlightened one come back in the body or not? You see? Because in Buddhism you get both. They chase down young babies and say, you are the Dalai Lama. They chase down like that. And also they say there is no Atma to carry forward. So when a question is asked, so what happens? Does the enlightenment come back and take rebirth in the world? The Buddha truly answered the fifth. Truly answered the fifth. So now the fifth can be like either a very convenient notion, like you don't know the answer, you just like make a nice guru type pose and say the fifth. Like that. Or really like with integrity be able to say it is beyond the intellect but it is available in the heart.
It is pointing to the mystery.
Huh?
It is pointing to the mystery.
Exactly. The mystery, that which is supremely mysterious in our head and yet such a beautiful flow in our heart. You see. But we must be able to come to a point where we can answer it like the Buddha himself. We must be able to answer it like the Buddha himself. And say, not because the Buddha used to answer fifth, I say fifth is not enough. You have to find the same answer in your heart and say, with integrity, whatever expression comes. Because now the house of that insight is available to you. It is where you see that you are aware. It is where you see your being see, using the word see loosely, of course. It's where you find all of this. That is the home for all insight. ज़्यादा हो गया Good idea. This is like an ambush. I attracted all of you with the promise of kirtan and bhajans. I'm like, that you're going to go and listen to bhajans, but that tumse ho jois and these words were just sprouting to come.
Very beautiful conversation.
I'm really happy, so I didn't have to wait till tomorrow and carry another night.